Greetings all you fantastic fours out there. Thank you for joining us for another lesson of maths brought to you by WorksheetCloud. I'm Mr. T. Let's jump into today's lesson. So if you'd like to email me, it's grade4@worksheetcloud.com. You can address it to Mr. Travis or Mr. T. It'll come to me. After the lesson, click on the link above, do the worksheet that's associated with this lesson, just so that you know that you have got what we're doing today. The next slide, as per normal, is your mental arithmetic. It's a practice of the things that should become second nature that you should barely even need to think about. You just see the question and the answer just pops into your head. So it's 10 questions, 40 seconds. You just have to put down the answer. It's a combination of plus and minus today. Let's see how you do. Your time starts now. Now. And that's it. Time's up. Let's go through them quickly. 12 minus 5 is 7. 12 plus 5 is 17. 7 minus 5 is 2. 7 plus 5 is 12. 9 minus 4 is 5. 9 plus 4 is 13. 8 minus 7 is 1. 8 plus 7 is 15. 8 minus 6 is 2. 8 plus 6 is 14. If you missed any of those, just rewind the video and watch it again. Let's continue to the next slide. So we're going to have a look at money today. Money, money, money. Who doesn't want more money? Let's look at our lesson objectives. So first of all, have a clear understanding of the relationship between rands and cents. Know that money has security features, and be able to do some simple word problems that involve money. So this is our legal tender. Legal tender is a fancy name for the money that we can use in South Africa. You can see that it's got specimen, which just means it's a fancy word for example. You can see the notes on the left. We've got a 10 Rand note, 20 Rand note, a 50 Rand note, a 100 Rand note, and a 200 Rand note. You can see that on the back of those notes are the big five. And on the, and on the front we've got a picture of Mandela and all those other things. And on the right hand side you can see the coins that we have. We have a 5 Rand coin, 2 Rand coin, 1 Rand coin, 50 cents, 20 cents, and 10 cents. Just as an aside, often people argue about which is the head and the tail. I think I mentioned this in a different lesson on probability. But the side that you're seeing face up over here, the side that you can see of the coin with the picture of the animal on, that is actually tails. The other side has the crest of South Africa on it. Before that, or in other countries where they have a king or something like that, then there's a picture of the king's head or the queen's head on the back, and hence the reason why the other side is heads and this side is tails. It might seem a little bit funny that we only have a 10-cent piece. Some of you may remember, or your parents may still have, 5-cent pieces. The value of our money has got less, so that we don't use 5-cent pieces anymore. We don't use 2 cents and 1 cent pieces either. And in fact, now this is going back a long way. Back to when I was a young child, there was even a half-cent piece, but we don't have those anymore. So we only have down to a 10-cent piece now, and I suspect that it won't be too long before we get rid of the 10-cent piece as well, because I mean, what can you get for 10 cents these days? But that's the money that we can spend in South Africa. I'm not going to go through this in too much detail, but there are quite a number of security features on a coin, on a note, and sometimes on a coin as well. It's not that easy to copy. If it was, people would just print off their own money, and then we'd have a problem. If you could just photocopy it, that wouldn't be a very secure thing, because people could just make prints of their own 200 Rand notes and go and spend it. So there are things like coats of arms, there's special lettering, there are watermarks, there's bumps. Anyway, if this is something that interests you, you can search it up, do it while you're looking at a note, and you can feel all the different things and fold it to see how things match up. It's quite a lot of fun. Okay, but we're not going to go into that too much. So why on earth do we learn money before we learn decimals? This is something that confuses me because we use decimals when we're doing money, only in a very limited way, but I sort of feel that we should know decimals before we do money. Anyway, I guess that you're probably spending money before you learn how to do decimals, and that's why we do money before you do decimals, but it doesn't really make sense to me. I feel we should learn decimals first. Plus, I don't think that decimals is very difficult. Anyway, it's not part of this year's syllabus for you, and so let's have a look at money, which is. So this is basically what it comes down to. There are 100 cents in a rand, and that's it. That's as simple as it gets. So let's jump across the whiteboard and have a look and see. Oh wait, no, we got one more slide quickly before then. And that's this. This is the things that you might be asked to do calculations with money at school. So you might have to decide what denominations to use. So someone might say to you, what's the least number of coins you can use to make up 7 Rand? And you'll have to think down, like, what's the fewest number of coins you can use to make that? You might have to work out change. So if you have 10 Rands and you hand it to the shopkeeper for a bag of chips, and then the chips cost 6 Rand, how much are you going to get back? And then some word problems with money. So that's what it is that you're going to be asked to do with it at school, and that's what we will look at it today. So rands and cents. You're going to see now where the decimal story comes in. Decimal is like a comma. So you might have something like 2 Rand written like that. And when you just see 2 Rand, what it means is that there is 2 Rand with no cents. So whatever comes after this comma is the cents part, and whatever comes before the comma is the rands part. And if we don't have any cents, then sometimes we just leave out that part altogether. And often you'll get a problem where one of the things has just rands and the other one has rands and cents. All right, so this comma is what I'm talking about with a decimal point. That is the decimal point. Interestingly, we use a comma in South Africa, but a lot of countries use a full stop. So it is possible you might come across it where it says something like 2 Rand and like that instead of a comma. And a lot of the computer programs, if you're using, you'll need to put in a decimal point because it doesn't recognize the comma. It thinks you've made a mistake or that you're writing a word. Anyway, I'm going to use the comma because that's what we do in South Africa. So if I look at what I've written down there, I have 2 Rand and no cents. 2 Rand is also the same as 200 cents. Because remember, I did tell you that 1 Rand equals 100 cents. So obviously, if 1 Rand equals 100, then 2 Rand equals 200 cents. And you can see that really what I would just do is take out the comma, and you'd be able to see that. Okay, let's look at another example. What if I had something like this? 250. Well, that we read as 2 Rand and 50 cents. So everything that comes after the comma is the cents, everything that comes before the comma is the rand. We might have something like 2 Rand. Why am I always doing 2? 12 Rand, 25 cents. Doesn't have to have the cents there. Sometimes people put it in. All right, well, that means that we've got 12 full rands and 25 cents. If we want to look at how many cents that is, we simply remove the comma and we see that this is the equivalent of 1,225 cents. All right, so that's the same as 12 Rand, 25 cents. Okay, I think that's the key thing to remember when we're looking at rands and cents. We do still sometimes get something like this where something costs, let's say, 19 Rand 95 cents. And you look at it and you think to yourself, well, how are we going to do that? Because we don't have a 5 cents. If you remember the picture in the slide, the lowest we go is a 10 cent. So if how would we then use a 5 cent? How could we get change if we gave 25 Rand? And what the shops do is they round off. So they add up all of your shopping. So let's say we also had something that was 2 Rand, 15 cents, and we had something that was 3 Rand, 75 cents. Right, and they add all of it up. So 5 and 5 and 5 is 15, carry the 1. Oh, sorry, you can't see all of that. 15, carry the 1. 10, 11, 18, carry the 1. We just put the decimal comma down there. Right, so it's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, carry the 1, and 2, 5. So this would be 25 Rand and 85 cents. And then what they do is when they've added all of it up, they have a look and they see, okay, well, we don't have 5 cents. So what they do is they just charge you 80 cents. And they're doing rounding off, which is something that we've looked at in a different lesson. So they round it off to the nearest 10, but they round down. They always round down to give you the benefit, and then they will do it that way. So you will still see things like the 95 cents, even though we don't have the money that we can use for it. Okay, let's have a look at some problems that we can do with some money. So please make sure you have a pencil and paper so you can jot down some answers for me. So what I'd like you to do on the left-hand side is I'd like you to write down those Rand values, or those Rand and cent values. I'd like you to write down that in just cents. So write that down in just cents. Then on the right-hand side, I'd like you to give the Rand and cents values. All right, so you're converting these ones to look like these ones, and you're converting these ones to look like these ones. I'll give you a couple of minutes, in fact, not even a couple of minutes, a very short time to get this done, because it's not tricky. Is that enough time? No, I'm kidding. You can have a little longer. Okay, if you need longer than that, just pause the video. When you're ready, push play. Well, when we don't have any cents, we don't normally write it, but it could be written as 3,00, and as cents, we just take out the comma, 300. Take out the comma, 920 cents, 22,540 cents, 195.25 cents. So all we're doing is we're taking out the comma. That's how we do it, and then we're just aware that if we don't have a comma, we might need to put the comma in, and the 2 spaces for the cents. Looking at the other side, going the other way around, we've just got to put a comma in. Oops, not there, but there, making sure that we always have 2 digits afterwards. So that will become R8, 0, 9,50, 6,25, 125 and 55 cents. If we look at this one here, where we've got a 0 on the end, if we're just looking at decimals, then it actually makes sense to just write 9,5. But because we're looking at cents, we always make sure that we've got 2 numbers after the comma. We don't. We must have both. And just incidentally, if for the first one you'd written just R8, then you would also be right. And I'd be impressed because you've been paying good attention. Let's have a look at some problems. Okay, so the first one we've got a loose sweet, one of those ones you buy at the shop. They're normally in a big jar and you can just take one, but often you buy more than one. So a loose sweet costs 40 cents, but you want to buy 15. Let's see how much that will cost. So what you've got to do is really times 40 times 15. Okay, so there are many ways that you can multiply, and multiplication is not this lesson. But if I did this in my head, I would go, well, I've got a smiling 0, so I'm going to put my smiling 0 there, and I'm going to do 4 times 15. So 15, 30, 45, 60. Alternatively, you could, if you like, you could say, well, 12 times 4 was 48, and then 13 times 4 is 52, then 56, and then 60, and you can get to 60 that way. But your answer then is 600. So that's 600. Does that mean that you are going to pay 600 Rand for? That sounds ridiculous. But we're working with cents, so this is 600 cents. Now, to put that into a Rand value, we've got to put our comma in, and so we get R6 or R6,00. So we pay 6 Rand for 15 sweets. Let's look at the next one. We've got 2 friends, or you and a friend, who have some money. You have 4 Rand 75, and your friend has 5 Rand 50. How much do you have altogether? So what you're really doing is you're adding 4 Rand 75 to 5 Rand 50. What you could do is you could think of this as 475 cents and 550 cents and add them together. So to think of it as cents, all I've done is remove my commas, and then I see 5 plus 0 is 5, 7 plus 5 is 12, carry 1, 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 5 is 10, so I can see that it's 1,025 cents, which is the same as 10 Rand 25. I could do it that way. There's nothing wrong with that. So there I'm just putting the step in by putting the comma back in. There is another way to do it, which I'm going to just jot down on the left. It is actually looking at something as decimals, but it works very nicely, and for simple ones like this, it's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add them with the comma in. So I'm going to have 4 Rand 75. Very important is the comma needs to be underneath. 5 Rand 50. And in my answer, my comma will be underneath as well. 5 plus 0 is 5. 7 plus 5 is 12. I carry the 1. I can just ignore the comma. I treat it just like I would a normal addition sum. And 10. And then you can see I've gone straight to my answer, which is R10, 25. So that means that between me and my friend, between my friend and I, we have 10 Rand and 25 cents. All right, let's go shopping. You go to a shop and you buy a slab of chocolate. The slab costs 13 Rand 90 cents. You pay with a 20 Rand note. How much change will you get? We assume that the shopkeeper is going to get it right. Okay, so this is going to be a subtraction one. We started with 20 Rand note. I was being a little bit sneaky by writing a 20 Rand note in words, but I'm pretty sure you got it anyway. So 20 Rand note minus 13 Rand and 90 cents. And you want to find out how much change you're going to get, which will be the answer to that problem. Well, the first thing you want to do is to write your 20 Rand with the cents after it. You could write both of these as just cents and then get an answer and put it back, but I quite like the neatness of just writing it with the commas underneath each other and then treating it like a normal one anyway, so we get the right answer. Okay, so 0 minus 0, subtraction, sorry, 0 minus 0 is 0, 0 minus 9 we can't do, we have to borrow. So it becomes a 1, this is a 10, cross out the 10 and it becomes a 9, so we can lend to this guy. 10 minus 9 is 1. So you notice that it didn't make any difference that there was a comma there. We did it just like we do normal addition and subtraction. 9 minus 3 is 6. 1 minus 1 is nothing. We could put a nothing there, but it's like a ghost nothing. It's meaningless. So that means that our change is R610. So 6 Rand and 10 cents. Okay, we decide to go to a different shop just for the sake of it. And in this shop, we buy a bag of chips, a bag of crisps. There isn't a price on the shelf or on it. And it's one of those times where you're like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? But you really feel like chips. And you decide that with 20 Rand, you're definitely going to have enough. So it doesn't really matter. So you go to the counter. You hand over your 20 Rand and the shopkeeper gives you 14 Rand and 25 cents change. How much did the chips cost? So funnily enough, although we're working out the amount that you are paying this time, it works exactly the same. It's also a subtraction problem. So we've got 20 Rand and we're subtracting 14 Rand and 25 cents. All right, so we've got, that's what we're spending. That's the amount we get back. So whatever we don't get back, that's how much we spent. So I'm just going to write my 20 Rand with cents after it as well. Put my 14 in underneath, making sure my comma lines up. Put a comma in my answer in the right place. Let's see what we've got. Well, 0 minus 5, I can't do. We've got to go all the way over to here to borrow. This becomes a 10, which we then cross out, and it becomes a 9. That becomes a 10, which we then cross out, and that becomes a 9, and now that's a 10. So 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 2 is 7. 9 minus 4 is 5. 1 minus 1 is nothing. So the chips cost are 5 and 75 cents. Right, I think we have time for a couple more. All right, what is the fewest number of coins you can use to make? So take a moment, think about those, see if you can get it. I'll have some tea, see if you can figure out the first three. So what's the fewest number of coins, the least coins you can use to make up those amounts? If you'd like a little longer to work it out, then just pause your video, and when you're ready, you can start it again. Right, well, we can't use a 5 Rand coin because that's too much. So we have to use 2s or 1s. To make up the 4 Rand, the easiest thing is to use 2 Rand coins. So the question is, what is the fewest number of coins? It doesn't ask you what they are, but let's have a look. So you'd use a 2 Rand, another 2 Rand, that would make up the 4 Rand, and a 50 cent. Right, those are the 3 coins you'd have. But the fewest number of coins, how many coins you use, is 3. So the answer to the first question is 3. Next question. You're looking to find what's the fewest number of coins you can use to make 9 Rand 70. Well, let's start with the 9 Rand. We want to use bigger coins. So the bigger one we would use is the 5 Rand coin. Then to get to 9, we could either use 2s or 1s. We want to use 2s because that will mean we use less. So that gets me my 9 Rand, 1 5 Rand coin and 2 2 Rand coins. Then to get to 70, I could use 3 20s and a 10. I could use 7 10s. But probably the easiest is to use 1 50 cent and 1 20 cent. So the fewest number of coins I would use is 5. Having a look at the next one, to make up the 3, I'd use 1 2 Rand coin, 1 1 Rand coin, and then a 20 cent piece. So that again would be 3 coins. Okay. You also get questions like this. If you have 3 2 Rand coins, 4 1 Rand coins, 3 50 cent coins, and 5 20 cent coins, how much do you have? But the way you're going to work that out is by working out each of these sets individually. So 3 2 Rand coins, 2 4 6, so that's worth 6 Rand. 4 1 Rand coins, 1 2 3 4, so that's worth 4 Rand. 3 50 cent pieces, well, let's jot that down. 50 times 3 equals 150. That's 150 cents, which is the same as 1 Rand 50. And finally, we've got 5 20 cent pieces. So 20 cents times 5, which is 100, which is the same as 1 Rand. Or 1 Rand 00. Doesn't matter if you write the 00, Doesn't change the meaning as long as there's the comma in place. All right, so now you want to add those together. So you go R6, 0, 0, 4, 0, 0, 1, 50, 1, 0, 0. We can add those together. All zeros come to 0, 5, and 12. So you have 12 Rand and 50 cents. Okay, I hope currency is not going to be one of the areas that trip you up when it comes to maths. It is one of the areas that should be relatively straightforward, as long as you just remember that there are 100 cents in each Rand. You should be good to go. Right, that's all we have for this lesson, grade 4s. Just a reminder, if you'd like to email me, it's grade4@worksheetcloud.com. Thanks for watching. And also just click on that link above, do the worksheet, and make sure that you really have it, because practice is how we cement these things into our brain. Grade 4s, thanks for joining. It's been awesome. Have a fantastic day. Goodbye.